What I'm going to do for you tonight is I'm going to make a complete meal from a chicken, broccoli, and potato dish all the way through to 2 side dishes to dessert, all on top of the stove. And I know that how many of you own some of the cookware today? Anybody? Any owners? So Ken and Matt are our only owners in the room, so this should be a lot of fun. So, that's right. I can tell you as well. I've been with Cookware 35 years. I have 4 kids, 2 are married. I have a grandson, so I do a lot of cooking. I was just telling Matt we still end up with everybody at home almost every weekend. So this is something that I live, breathe, and eat. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And we're going to start tonight with actually doing a rice dish. And sometimes we do a regular rice, but we wanted to show you rice can be a great dish. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. I'm just going to turn this on, and I am going to add, this is about 3 cups of chicken broth. I got rid of 1 cup. And I have in here 2 cups of rice.
Do you have some recipes written up for us or no?
These specific ones I don't, but I do have some cookbooks in the back with some different recipes in. These almost you'll be able to remember. This is just a 2-to-1 ratio for the rice. And I'm going to put about 1 cup of salsa, or half a jar. We're not going to get fancy here. Now the thing I love about Cutco cookware is it has such phenomenal heat properties. Actually, everything will be so even that we'll be able to actually start this, and if it got to a specific temperature, you'd be able to finish it in the refrigerator. It stays warm. It keeps all of the heat inside. Another thing that I love to talk about Cutco cookware is just like your Cutco cutlery, the products are made in the United States. It's all made in Wisconsin. I would say where in Wisconsin you wouldn't remember anyway. It's Kewaskum and West Bend. West Bend is easy, Kewaskum is a tough one. What I'm using as well tonight is Cutco cookware is induction capable, so it means you can use it on all different types of stovetops. Induction means that there's actually a magnet that when you have something that is magnetic or made out of carbon, has some type of carbon steel, it actually will close that magnet and it gives you a very, very great, efficient type of heat. So I'm just going to turn this on. I'm going to put the cover on. Now if you look at Cutco cookware, it's made a little bit differently than some of the other retail cookware, is that it has what is called the set down, or a ring on the top of the pan. And this is designed so that it keeps all of the moisture and the flavor inside of the cookware and the cover, and it's actually like a little mini oven that doesn't dry the food out. So I'm going to turn that on. And with induction cooking, you need to have something on the heat source in order to make it work. If I lift this up, it's actually going to shut off, so it's very, very safe. And again, Cutco you can use on everything. So we're going to actually let this come to what we call the correct temperature for low moisture cooking, which is the type of cooking that this is. And it actually will be to the point where the cover flutters, where it can be spun easily. Then what you do is you actually turn this down and it'll finish cooking. So never do you need to use a high heat. It's really what they say, it's medium to low is all you need to know. So what you're doing is you're also keeping a lot of the flavors. You're not boiling it. So we're going to just let that get started. The next dish we're going to do is we're going to do really kind of a one-dish wonder. We're going to start this pan, and we're just going to put it on, again, a medium heat. The only time you ever need to use a high heat with Cutco is if you're boiling water in it. So, again, very energy efficient. So I'm just going to bring this pan to a temperature that is going to actually, we're going to sear the chicken. I can tell that the pan is to the right temperature when water actually dances. If it's not hot enough water, then it'll basically vaporize. But when it beads up in the pan, then I know it's the correct temperature. That correct temperature will then sear the juices in the chicken. We're basically going to do potatoes, chicken, and broccoli all in this pan. We're only going to flip the chicken once and then add our broccoli after. So really, I think 2 times, Matt, you're looking at this particular dish and that's it? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm using you as my audience assistant. Okay. So speaking of assistant, I would love to have somebody come up here and help me with this particular dish. So rather than ask for volunteers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a ticket and then have that person come up and help me. So somebody's going, oh, don't pick me, but I can guarantee you this is going to be really easy. This will be ticket 920403. Almost got it. Okay. Good, Margaret. I said when Margaret came in, it was meant to be. That's right, because Margaret is my only daughter's name. So, excellent. We're going to throw this. That's right, and you could be my daughter. That's right. So, Margaret, what I've been doing is I have this pan on a medium. Let's switch places here and see how that works. And what I'm going to do is just see if, we'll turn that up a little bit. And see if it's ready to go. Oops, see how that beads? It's dancing. That's right. So what we're going to do is actually, I'd like you to take the potatoes and with the cut side down, just put the potatoes around the outside of the pan. No water. No water. Yeah. And we'll move them, yeah, as close as you can. Now if you notice, we didn't put any pan or anything in this pan at all. And as far to the outside as you can go. So you have to turn that down a little bit. The water's dancing like crazy. And let's just put them to the outside because we need some room for the chicken, Margaret. We need room for the chicken. This is all going to be in one pan. And again, we have no oil in here. We have no butter in here. No Pam in here. And Margaret, I got you thinking, how is she going to get those potatoes off? Right? How's she going to? Very carefully. No, actually what we're going to do is we're going to use the moisture from the chicken and the natural moisture in the potatoes to actually have that release naturally. Okay, let me turn that down a little bit. And then what I'd like you to do is we have 2 chicken breasts here. If you could want to put one in the center, another in the center. And you can hear it. That's kind of screaming a little bit. That's going to sear the juices. And I only have that on a medium heat. Okay, we're going to turn that to there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it. And we're halfway done. Okay, that's all it took, Margaret. That was easy, wasn't it? Okay, so. To thank you, what I'd like to do is give you a 2-quart, Margaret. You were done.
Oh, well, thank you.
That was easy, wasn't it? See? It'll be easy for everybody else, too. So, we'll ask for some help later. Going to check on our rice. Still is not ready to float. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to leave this as well. And you can see this already has a little bit, the cover's easy to spin. So what it's already done is it's started to form that vacuum seal. Oh, you're going to help with tickets? Okay. Pardon? Right here. Add those people to it. So we're going to leave that. And actually, sometimes we put seasoned salt on this. And one of the things that I love about Cutco cookware is because it's keeping the natural juices and flavors of the food, because you're not using high heat that destroys it. You very rarely need to use any seasoning. especially something that has sodium in it. So I'm not even going to add anything tonight so you can really taste what food tastes like. The next dish we're going to do is, we're going to do the infamous pineapple upside down cake. You can see this cover is spinning now too, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to low, and we're just going to let this cook. When I'm at home, I have 4 kids. They're all growing now, but they were coming and going constantly, very, very busy. What I would do is I literally would start the rice. I would get it to a point where the cover was fluttering, and I would shut it off, and it would continue to cook. That's how good this cookware is. Again, like that little bit of oven. I can hear this is a little high too, but we'll just let that for a minute. So, the cake. I've done this cake at the Vector conferences, so the Cutco sales conferences now for about 10 years. The first time I did it was on a stage in front of about 800 kids, 800 college students. I was a nervous wreck. But it is so easy. It really turned out nice, so I'm hoping it turns out as nice tonight. So what I'm going to do again is I have the large skillet, and in the skillet I put 1/4 cup of butter and a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. So that's going to be the glaze for the pineapple upside down cake. Now what I am going to do though is typically a cake, how long does it take to bake a cake? About 25 minutes, and you need to preheat the oven, so you figure that's about another 10 minutes. So about 45 minutes to make a cake. We're going to do this cake in 15 minutes. 15 minutes, I'll cross my fingers, typically 15 minutes. What we're also going to do is, other than the butter that we have, we're not going to add any additional oil. So it's going to be a healthier dessert. I'm not going to say healthy dessert because I do have butter and brown sugar in here, but a healthier dessert. But I would like some help with this particular dish. So I'm going to draw another ticket. Stir. Yeah, I need a stir and a placer. And, okay, I'm going to write it on the board. 9203. Oh, you're supposed to go, oh. 3880. Who's our winner? 920380. Oh, great. Let's see who we're dealing with here. Patricia. Hi, I'm Jackie. How do you do? What we're doing is, again, the pineapple upside down cake. And what I did is, I'm using a Duncan Hines yellow cake mix. That's what's in here, Patricia. Okay? And here what we're doing is, when you do this recipe, no putting in the mix. It takes really a long time to get done, and it's a bit too moist. So I'm kind of a Duncan Hines yellow cake mix fan. So that's what's in this dish. And what I'm doing with the brown sugar.
Did you say you don't use your?
Don't use pudding in the mix.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You don't need it because this is going to be so much moister. Now what we have in here is we have the brown sugar and the butter, and I have it again on really a low heat. I'm going to turn it down because it's starting to get pretty brown. And what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you first to get ready to stir over here, okay, Patricia. And what this is actually the juice from 1 can of pineapple rings. Okay, right here. So we're going to put that in. And 2 eggs. I know, that makes people nervous. Usually I do it one-handed, but I have to admit I'm a little nervous too, so.
I haven't used this tool.
Oh, that's great. What's the correct terminology for this? The mixture? Yes, and you can really give her with that, Patricia. All right, while you're mixing that up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pineapple rings and I'm going to put it in the pan.
How much brown sugar did you use?
Half a cup. A quarter cup of butter, half a cup of brown sugar. And then all but 2 of the rings, because what we're going to do with the rest of our rings is I cut these up beforehand. I never cut anything in front of someone who sells Cutco. I'm not a trained professional, so we're going to throw that in there and mix that up. And once I have the butter melted, I'm going to turn it to a medium heat. You can actually, Patricia, you can hear that bubbling, can't you, a little bit?
Actually, see how it's
You
working.
can see that it's working. It's so efficient. And I have a little bit of moisture in here yet, so I'm just going to toss that in there. And then inside each of the rings, I'm going to add 1 maraschino cherry. You need 8 cherries, but I usually take 9 out because I like to eat 1. But Matt counted these, so I don't know if you have 8 or not.
Eat one and find out.
I'll find out. Pardon?
Eat one and find out.
No! I don't want to wreck it. That's perfect. Oh, there's 8. I'll have to hit the rest of the jar after the presentation. So what I'd like you to do is take and you can pour that over the pineapple and the brown sugar and the butter. And just from the middle, and you don't have to worry about it getting to the edge, Patricia, it's just going to go. So just put it in the middle. It might move some of the pineapple and the cherries around a bit, but it's going to taste so good, it's not going to matter. Well, it fills it up. It'll fill it up. Excellent. All we're going to do is, you can just set that down. All we're going to do is put the cover on. We're going to bring that to a point again where the cover flutters, and actually you might see a little burst of steam. If I'm distracted and you see that happen, holler at me, all right? And then what we're going to do after it gets to that point is, we're going to turn it down again and time it for about 12 to 14 minutes, right? Patricia, that was that.
Wow.
So your cake is almost done already. So here you go. Thank you so much for helping me. That's a 3-quart for you. I really appreciate it. So, yes, Patricia. This is really sputtering, so even though it's on a medium, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm going to open this up. And again, the natural juices of the chicken, it lifts right off. Who needs nonstick? Look at that. It's nice and brown. We're going to turn it over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put broccoli right on top. Right? So those of you who hates to do dishes, yeah, she said, you're afraid to admit it, aren't you? Aren't you, Gloria? That's okay. We're all friends here. You can admit it. This is a great one because you're literally doing everything in one pan. So we're going to put the broccoli right on top of this.
So you also tell us that nothing sticks to these pans when they wash up very nicely?
You know what, I'm not going to tell you nothing sticks to it, but I can tell you they do wash up very nicely. This is the only kind of cookware that I use. And it is a different way of cooking. You do have to do a little bit of, testing with your stove and with temperatures and so on. But I can tell you in all honesty, the food will taste much better. It takes less time to cook, and cleanup really is easy. And hopefully one of these dishes will be a little bit of a mess, and I'll be able to show you how easy it'll be to clean up, but you'll be surprised how clean they actually are. go somewhere on here. So I'm gonna put that on there. Break that up a little bit. We're gonna put the cover on again. And that still has what we say the moisture seal. And that's actually, I mean, there was really no water that we added to this. It's really a little bit of water that was on the potatoes yet. And I know that, Margaret, you tried to get as much of the water off as you could. And the natural juices in that chicken. So what you're gonna taste here is you're gonna actually taste the food. You're gonna not have to add a lot of things to it. So, great dish. We'll do a little bit of checking here. Now when you do the cake, what I like to do is the cover should be not so hot that you can't keep your hand on it. So if you see me over here touching it a little bit, that's just my little safety mechanism, but that's good. This is good. Now what we're going to do is do our vegetable. Now how many of you hate cooked cabbage? Oh, Margaret, hate cooked cabbage. You're not an Irish lass, are you? You are, I am too. So yeah, so you have to like cooked cabbage. If you don't, we have turned so many people on to cooked cabbage by doing this. One of the things that is great about Cutco cookware is in the low moisture philosophy is you're not using a lot of water. Typically if you would do potatoes or a vegetable, you take your pan, you fill it with vegetables, and what do you fill it with next? Water, tight to the top. It used to drive me crazy when I would go by my mom and she would be making potatoes. I literally would be going and I would be pouring the water out and saying, you don't need all that water. What I'm going to show you is just with a few teaspoons of water, you'll be able to cook the carrots with the cabbage, and it'll taste like carrots, it'll taste like cabbage. It's not going to taste like a new hybrid vegetable. And you will be amazed by the color of the vegetable, the flavor of the vegetable, and what's great is it also retains the nutritional value in the food. So here's just a little bit of a demo. We have in here just carrot peels, okay? Now I'm going to take some water. So here's the traditional way you would cook. You would take your pot and you would cover it with water. Right? And then what you would do is it's going to come to a boil, and we're going to make believe this is boiling. And if you look at that, Eileen, take a look at that. What color is that water turning?
Orange.
Okay, do you know what that orange is? The vitamins, the beta carotene. That's why you eat carrots. So one of the things that we like to say is, and I know that the vector marketing people when they demonstrate cookware is, and they do this simple demonstration, they say, do you know who the best fed member of the household is?
Yeah, the garbage.
The garbage or the kitchen sink, because what you do is you pour that nutrition right down. So that's why this is a great method of cooking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some carrots and put half carrots on one side, would somebody like to time 12 minutes for me, please? I'm going to check that in 12 minutes. Thank you. And I can also pile this tight full. This cookware actually works best if it's at least 3/4 full. Trying to find the carrots and the cabbage here. Is
there a reason that you're separating them?
No, it just looks nicer. And I want to show you that the flavors aren't going to transfer because you don't have all of the water in there. How many of you ate dinner tonight? Not too many, right? So this is smelling good to you? I hope. right? We'll put a little more cabbage in there, and you can see this is pretty full. Okay, and all the water that I'm going to do is I put my fingers in there before I do the dancing test, so I don't want to do that. I'm just going to take a couple capfuls of water. We'll put one side for the cabbage. Ooh. I kind of dropped some, so I don't want to cheat. We'll get rid of that. That's the only moisture that I'm going to use. Now, the fresher your vegetables, the less water you have to use. So that's why now, if you go to your local farmer market, you could do this with a couple of drops of water, and that's it. Or just rinse your vegetables and then put them in. That's typically what I'll do at home. Again, I'm going to put it on medium because that's all you need to know. Medium to low is all you need to know. And everything should be cooking just fine. And this is doing well too. So Ken, how much time is that to have everything prepped? What time do we have?
It's 6:36.
So about a half an hour.
Yeah.
This was completely prepped. If you were doing this at home, you wouldn't certainly be telling you don't have an audience. So you'd be able to do this really, really quickly. And again, you know, like I said, I live by this methodology. Hopefully I look like I'm halfway fit and healthy. I don't look like a grandma. So it is a great way to cook, great way to eat. Another thing I found is because the food tastes so good, you don't have to eat as much because you're satisfied. So I'm just going to take a little peep. We'll see how our rice is doing. Now, typically you don't have to put this peep at all. They always say no peeping because you don't have to. You don't have to be stirring this all the time. But just take a little peek. Our rice is just about done already. Actually looks like it's a little stiff, so I'm going to add a little bit of moisture to this. Now, a couple things about switching up recipes. If you're doing soup or you're doing pasta or you're making rice, you need to have some moisture. Just going to add a little bit in there because they're dry foods. Okay, so you can actually use this cookware to cook traditionally. And I've actually gotten that question before, can I make soup in it? Yes, you can make soup in it. You can boil water and you can make pasta in it. I made rice the same way in this that you would typically make rice in anything. Okay, the only trick is I think it got done a lot faster, and it's going to taste better and hopefully nice and fluffy. I'm going to take just a peek at the cake. How much time have we had, Carla?
9.5.
9.5. Okay, we're going to let that go a little bit. I don't think that's going to be ready. And our chicken and our broccoli, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. So, we're going to let this cook a little bit. We'll let that come to temperature and turn it down again. Any questions about the meal that I made or about Cutco cookware? Easy.
I like your burners too.
You like the burners? Well, these are induction burners. And if you want to get a hold of these, just go on Amazon, induction stovetops. All right, these are great for demonstrating. We used to actually use like a little burner, so I'd have to constantly be doing this to check. Oh, my thighs would be so sore. So I'm glad we went to that Cutco decided to use an induction capable material. So again, you can use it on all stovetops. A few other things about Cutco. It has, I think, an adorable handles and knobs for the cookware. They're very traditional. They're something that you'd be able to literally have in any kitchen and any kitchen for a lifetime. They're very stylish.
Are they oven
They're
safe?
oven safe up to 350 degrees.
The bottom's discolored. In a lot of pans, the stainless pans discolored.
The thing about the discoloration is caused by a number of things. The first thing is, if your heat is too high, you can have discoloration, anything from a gold tint to a blue. That's the range of temperature. Another thing that can cause that bottom is that's actually a stain. So if your cookware is not clean, then you can have that discoloration on the bottom. What I do is, this is the best. This is your best friend, literally, is barkeeper's friend. I make sure that after all of my cookware is cleaned, I take and sprinkle a little barkeeper's friend in the bottom with a little bit of water and make a paste with a paper towel. And then I rinse it out and clean the inside and the bottom. Because a lot of times too, if your cookware isn't clean, if you heat it up, that food residue or any oils from the food, that actually is another thing that will discolor. It's very important to keep any cookware clean. I think this, I'm going to turn that down.
And I
I
was
could
wrong.
use a little more water.
I was
now.
wrong when I told you 9 minutes. It was at 25:02 when we started, and it's only at 17 minutes to right now.
Okay.
It's
We're
about
gonna peek
7.
at it.
I've been timing Jackie here.
It's about 7 minutes.
Pardon? About how many minutes, Matt?
Well, we're disagreeing. I'm saying it's 5 minutes, 7 seconds.
I can
He
peek.
says it's 4 minutes. And
No, no, no.
I say it's another 4 or 5
I know, I'm
minutes
joking.
before.
I'm
Yeah, a
joking.
little bit of water.
You did start a few seconds before.
I think these are a little old. I just added a little splash because I think the carrots and the cabbage are a little old. I actually bought cabbage this weekend and made cooked cabbage. I didn't add any water because it was so fresh from Sendex Matt. Best cabbage ever. It was so, it literally, I think it went from the field to the store. I didn't add any, but I think this was a little older. It seems like it's a little dry, so I did add a little bit of water to that. I'm just going to peep at the cake because I can't stand it.
4 more minutes though, before
4
it's
more
12.
minutes before
Yes.
it's 12. Well, when you peep at the cake, what you want to do is you want to make sure you lift the cover off straight, because the way this cookware is designed, the cover actually acts like a, what would you say, a baster, okay? So what you have is you have all the moisture in the food coming up and coming down the cover and then going back into your food. So if I lift this cover up, there's going to be a lot of moisture in it, so you want to do straight up so it falls back straight on the cake.
Oh, wow.
That cake is literally done. I'm going to shut it off.
It's only 9 minutes.
9 minutes. So we beat 45 minutes for the cake, didn't we?
Definitely.
So that's good. We'll take a look at our broccoli and our chicken. These are plastic fork tender. That's even better than standard fork tender. And I'm just going to show you a piece of the broccoli.
That looks so good.
We have a little bit of caramelization because that hit the bottom of the pan, but you're right, Carla, it looks good, doesn't it?
Mhm.
It looks like a vegetable. When you eat a vegetable, it should look. So that's going to be done. This might need a little bit more because they really weren't cooking very long. So we're going to leave that. And I know our rice is just about done. So we'll leave that a little bit too.
Well, you didn't put that lid on flat.
No, I didn't put the lid on flat, just because that's just about done. One of the things with low moisture cooking is if there's a drastic change in temperature, you can actually get this cover to suck on, and you could lift this pan right by the cover. When you buy your cookware, if that ever happens, there's a couple of things you can do is first very gradually increase the heat. If there's enough moisture left inside the pan, then that cover will come off. If you're nervous about doing that, what you can do is you can take a little bit of water and you can put it around the rim of the cookware and then gradually increase the heat, and there'll be enough water in that rim that'll help release the cover. Or another thing you can do is just put a damp rag over the top of it, or a wet rag, and you can release the cover. But that's how good this is designed, that you get that vacuum. So we're going to serve this cake. Woo! See all the moisture that was in there? So take this. I'm going to take the spreader server, is that right?
Special spread.
Spatula spreader.
Yep.
And I'm just going to run this around the outside. Now you can use metal tools in stainless steel. Stainless steel actually will heal itself. And even if there's a scratch in your stainless steel, it doesn't hurt the cookware, the taste of the cookware. It's not going to do anything to the cookware. It's just something that's going to not look as great as what you'd like, but it's still going to perform top notch. I would not suggest, though, taking a Cutco knife and cutting in your cookware because that's unbelievably sharp. You never know. I'm going to sneak over here.
3 times at a pop.
Just tap it a little bit. Oh, we got a little bit of sticking on here, but that's easy. Because what we're going to do is, we're just going to take and place these where they should be. And actually, it got done on one side and not on the other side. First time. One thing I'm going to say about these stove tops is I noticed typically we don't do it in a regular room like this. We do it in a hall so they have the same power. If there's a change in a power draw with this many, it does some weird things. So one thing I like about this cake too is if there's a little bit of over caramelization or burning, you can just use Cool Whip. And nobody knows the difference. Now you can see part of it stuck on here. I'll show you how easy it
Yes,
is.
that's what you
Mask
wanted,
it,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I like
that's
it.
what I wanted.
It's like duct tape for food. Yeah.
We'll get rid of that. Though if no one was in this room, I would eat that because that's the best part.
Right.
Okay,
You can smell the caramel.
you can smell that. Yeah. We're going to put that back on. We're going to put a little water in the bottom, and we're going to turn this back on. And I do occasionally have to do this at home. I'll put a little bit of water in there, about 1/2 of an inch. And I'm going to turn this back on. Now what will happen is, as that water heats up, it'll actually start to lift that off. So I'll be able to dump this in the sink and then just wipe the pan out. That's how easy it is to clean. We'll do that. Christina, would you cut up the chicken, please? Now, Margaret, I know you were a little nervous about the potato sticking. It came right out into the round without any oil. So I think we can just... And that chicken came right out.
A carving fork?
I have it.
She's got the
Oh,
turn.
just Spain was coming for it.
You need another spoon to get that
Just
stuff out?
came right out. And I'm just lifting the potatoes off. I mean, they're literally sliding, right, Christina? No trick mirrors or anything on this cookware.
Are you, we can actually, yeah, we can actually have them right now. Yeah.
Any questions why I'm dishing this stuff up? No? Ken, do you have any questions? Or any, do you want to give a little bit?
Does the chicken taste like the broccoli and the potatoes?
That's
that's a great question, yeah.
The chicken will not taste like the broccoli and the potatoes.
Oh no!
Man down.
Potato down.
Just fumbling like wild here. The potatoes will taste like potatoes, the chicken will taste like chicken, the broccoli will taste like broccoli. So if you don't like broccoli, you can eat the potatoes and the chicken and you don't have to worry about it. But I can tell you that if you don't like broccoli, you should try this broccoli. And this broccoli's not going to be like super, super soft. It really is al dente because that's the way you should be eating your broccoli. You want to eat your broccoli when it's still green. It looks more appetizing. And again, it has a lot more nutrition. I can guarantee you, if you do the cake at home, your cake will be done all the way around. It has something to do with the power source on these stove tops. These take I don't want to say a lot of current because they're very efficient, but if you're running them all at one, it's like running really 4 different stoves in one kitchen. This is really a quiet group. I'm used to the vector marketing
try
group
it.
that's like, oh my gosh.
They're like, can we try it yet?
Yeah, you're used to college students go crazy.
Yes, I am used to college students
So what
going
else we
crazy.
need?
We need to cut the potatoes and
potatoes
broccoli
off
so
the
that
broccoli
we're
a bit. If you want to use that, Ken.
Okay.
There is a trimmer around here.